Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Pundemic, a show all about one-liners. There's all different types of one-liners. I recently got signed up for a TV show for every week we're going to murder someone in uniform. So we just shot a pilot. That'll be a regular one-liner there. The last time I was on a plane, the guy in front of me had no bag. He had a crate of blue long neck bottles. And I thought to myself, that's wicked, carry on. That would be an example of a pun. Myself and my wife, we got together a long time ago. I remember she was working as a personal assistant to Courtney Cox, and I was doing security for Jennifer Aniston. So we met through friends. I would class that one as a dad joke. And the most important one is tags. Tags, especially for this episode. Tags is when you have a punchline and you add another punchline and another punchline and on the same subject. So I'll give you an example. Myself and my wife were in an S&M club, but they're not accepting any new members. Our hands are tied. So there's no point in submitting application forms. Personally, I'd like to give everyone a fair crack at the whip, but they won't allow it. Why? Beats me. So there you go. There's tags. There's an example of all our one-liners. And I've got 3 great guests on today, starting with one of my favorite. I can't say enough about this guy. He's one of my favorite comedians since I started doing comedy. Every when you're on the comedy scene, you get to know everyone's material. And even though I know his jokes and I know what's coming, he still cracks me up every time. And I'm hoping you'll enjoy him too. And throughout this show, I have this habit of pointing in the wrong direction. So I don't know, wherever. Anyway. Stephen Ryan, everybody.
Stephen Ryan, everybody. How's it going, buddy?
Paul Marsh, how are you?
Not too bad. I haven't seen you in ages. I think the start of the year.
Eons. It's been too long, Paul. And I've had fires in my house repeatedly and no sign of you.
Well, that's slightly outside of my jurisdiction down there in Limerick. So you've been keeping busy. I was asking you earlier on, you've a podcast.
Been doing a podcast right through lockdown. So we started out, myself and a friend of mine, Adam Lahy, we started doing a podcast at the beginning of lockdown, and like we thought lockdown would only be, short.
Like everyone did.
So we were like, we'll do this 2-month podcast, get us through the through the thing. And here we are 65 episodes later. We started out doing one daily for 5 days of the week. Which was mental. And then when we realized this wasn't just a flash in the pan kind of thing, we ended up going to weekly, which was far more feasible.
Deadly. And is it an hour-long podcast or a half hour?
It's a half an hour now. It starts out with just 15 minutes, and then we had to move it. Then when we moved it to a week, we said we'd make it a bit longer, not to be just lazying out completely on it. It's good. It starts out with kind of trying to get healthy and just a bit of mental health in the mix, and things, because that was, I suppose, very relevant with COVID. Then it just turned into us talking absolute shite.
Deadly. Yeah, well, that's what you want from a podcast.
As is my want.
Well, come here. One of the reasons you're one of my favorite one-liner comedians, and I thought you'd be perfect for this show. So I'm going to give you sorry, there's a 5-year-old here trying to come into the room.
That's quite
okay. Seamless editing later, and the 5-year-old gone. He just built something crazy with his Lego. Right. What I was showing everyone. I have a load of cards in here. All have different subjects on them. So I'm gonna reach in here and pick one. I hope it's not okay. Oh, I think you're gonna like this one. Alcohol.
I know it well.
And as I say, it's a vague subject. Alcohol, one-liners,
right?
Puns, tags, whatever you can. And I'm going to give you at least 2 minutes anyway, and we'll come back to you and see what I say. So, alcohol, Stephen.
Excellent. Alcohol.
Okay, we're back. Alcohol, Stephen. How did you get on?
I have devised a list of cues. So it's very pun based, Paul. It's very pun based. Which, as you know, a good pun is its own reword.
Right. I have a feeling this will be no problem to you. Go for it whenever you're ready.
Okay. I'm going to give this a shot. But no whining if I mess up. Either way, we'll just look at the bright side of life. So yeah, we're coming into the alcohol holidays, and people are inclined to drink more. So I suppose they think it'll cure what ails them. I sometimes have a drink, tequila an hour. Sometimes I have a drop for Dutch courage. I was trying to impress this Scotch girl, Jennifer.
Lovely,
She was with her California friend from Malibu. She was a very cosmopolitan lady. She wasn't great. I was really scraping the bottom of the barrel. But there was something intoxicating about her. It's hard to describe her. A picture paints 1,000 words. She was wearing this sapphire. She later told me it was from Bombay. I went up to her with high spirits, hoping to engage in a bit of jiggery pokery. We were talking about her favorite books, Frankenstein, and The Count of Monte Cristo, which of course was set in the time of Napoleon. She had a wicked sense of humor.
Love it.
I invited her for dinner. I asked was she a vegetarian, and she said she was a beef eater.
Deadly.
So we went for steak, and afterwards we went for a Magnum. We then went walking in the moonshine. She had a great butt. I was hoping to get her in the nip, have a little Southern comfort. You know, liquor growler. Maybe wet my whistle, a real session. I invited her for sex on the beach. But as I went to undo her cardigan, she said no. She said there was a mixer up, and she absolutely lost her temperance and rang the guards, who took me down the Old Baileys. But that'll teach me not to seek out one-night stands. You know, a bird in the hand is worth two in the black bush. And that's me.
No way! I cannot believe you got that amount of puns in. This is what, so whenever anyone, I just tick, and that is 4, 12, 14, 27. I got 29.
29.
It was the 10 was the record before this, I think. Bloody hell.
Take that, Carl Spain.
No, that is how it's done. That was now. In fairness, that was just the perfect subject for you. There's a few jiggery. I wrote down jiggery pokery. I gave you one for. What the hell is jiggery? Is that a drink? Is it?
Jigger is a measure.
Right, I figured as much. And there was you mentioned some of my favorite drinks in there as well. So, geez, that was deadly. So 29. No one else is going to come on after this. You know that, don't you? You've just finished this show. Well, Stephen, well done. I knew you'd do well at this anyway. But thanks a million. Is there anything you want to plug besides the Health Binge podcast before we go?
No, I think that's all. I suppose I'll plug me. If you're listening and have a gig that you need somebody to come on, I am sitting here waiting.
I highly recommend them. Listen, Stephen, thanks a million. You may have finished this podcast, this whatever you call this show, but that is 29. Can't believe it. But Stephen Ryan, everybody.
Next up, a fellow one-liner comedian that I really, really love, and he's won a few big competitions in the short time that he's been doing comedy. So you're going to hear his name a lot in future, I think. Kevin Larney. Kevin
Larney, everybody.
Hello, Paul.
Kevin,
hello, everyone else.
Thanks a million for coming on. When I was just deciding to do this show, you were one of my first choices because you're one of my favorite one-liner comedians.
Oh, cheers! Yeah,
it's good to get people out of their comfort zone, but I figure it's good to have a one-liner
It's
on
good
here
to
as
have
well.
people in their comfort zone as well sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And come here, the one thing I was going to say to you before we start, I know everyone's finding it tough in 2020, what they're missing out on. 2019, you spent most of that in a camper van going around Australia from beach to beach. I followed you on Instagram and I was like, that must be tough to go from that to this.
I was sure. Listen, it's at least. well, yeah, because at the end of last year was there was the start of the Australian wildfires.
All right.
And so that was coming up. So I left there around December last year, and that seemed like definitely that was going to be like the maddest thing that had happened.
Yeah.
And then within about 3 weeks, no one was talking about it anymore.
So you'll have spent most of 2020 going, this time last year I was, whatever.
This time last year I was more free than I've just been looking at like these 4 walls for the last couple of months anyway. But
because I mean this now as a compliment, but when you're married like me, middle-aged with kids, and you have all these kind of responsibilities and all this, and you go on to Instagram and you see people like yourself who are just camped out in some beach in Australia, you're like, fucking bugs, but no, but in a nice way. I was like,
sure. Is this some sort of like COVID was just a retribution to get all of us young single bucks back?
get you all into my life, sitting in watching Netflix every night. That's it, basically.
Well, I feel like I've definitely aged like 5 years. I've gotten, because the other thing that happened just before this, I don't know if you remember, Paul, you handed me the award for Dublin's next top comic.
Yeah.
Which then within like a week there was no comedy.
No, and that particular club is now gone.
Yeah. So the whole it's all about momentum, you got to strike when the iron's hot. But
well, it's still good for your CV. I'm sure in 2021.
If I get to do a gig in 2022, it'll still be relevant as it was. But
I know. Well done. That was a brilliant final. That was a great night.
But that's what I mean with I feel like I've aged 5 years, because that was probably on a Monday night. The thoughts of going out now on a January Monday night to do comedy.
And if you remember the amount of people that was in that room that night, there was like 80 or 90
and not
people,
a second thought. Like, no. I feel about halfway through quarantine, everyone was gearing to go out, gunning to go out no matter what. And now, by the end of this year, I think a lot of us will have slowed down an awful lot.
Yeah, no, it's going to take a while, but anyway, hopefully But in the meantime, we can entertain ourselves with this kind of thing anyway. So I'm only getting used to Zoom myself, but I have here a load of cards with different subjects on them. So I'm going to reach in here and pick one someplace from the middle, and I don't know if this is a good one, but space. I think when I wrote this, I meant space as in up there. So
the up there.
Yeah, that's space.
Right.
Yeah. It's vague. It's all of the subjects are fairly vague. So whatever you can come up with in space, I'm going to give you. I normally give it's 2 minutes, but I've been it's like the end of an exam where I've been going to people right, and they're like, 1 minute, but there, So however long. We're going to put up a graphic and seamlessly edit you into 2 minutes anyway. So best of luck with space.
Will I be in like a space background?
I'm not that technically minded yet, I'm afraid.
Fair enough.
And we're back after a very generous 2 minutes there.
There's a lot of scribbling.
Well, I hope you were scribbling for a good one. You didn't stop anyway, so hopefully you have one-liners on space. So over to you, Kevin.
Yeah, well, I wanted to start with, I'd written another one-liner about the whole COVID situation. I thought you'd enjoy. Like, I don't know, no harm to Ray Darcy, but how great would it have been if Ray Darcy had been killed by COVID, just for the headlines of COVID kills the radio star. I don't know if he'd think it was worth it, but I thought that'd be good. But anyway, speaking of the rich and famous, Paul, I saw a shooting star last night. I can't reveal any more details at the minute as the legal case is still pending. But what's the difference between an asteroid and a meteor? An asteroid is a giant rock hurtling around through space. A meteor was a subpar phone company that went bust about 3 years ago. I'd always had the idea that if Ireland had a space station, they should just place it in Nace for the simplicity of we just rob NASA's logos, take all their stuff, just flip it around a little bit. It'd save a hell of a lot of time. Just reuse all their shuttles. But I think the closest we've gotten to space so far was Michael Collins. The other Mick Collins was the third man that went to space with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. Supposedly, while he was sitting, he didn't actually get to land on the moon. He had to like do laps of the moon. But supposedly, when Houston rang up to him when he was up there, they said, "How are you getting on, Mick?" He said, "I'm over the moon, and I'm pretty pissed off about it." But and apparently, like Buzz Aldrin's mom's name was Marion Moon, which isn't a joke, but is something I've always thought was very weird. That was her maiden name. But the first, I was reading about the first Cuban in space there the other day, Fidel Castronaut. The second Cuban in space is going to be Mark. That was a joke at the expense. I'm sure there had been a Cuban astronaut who I've just written out of history for a bad joke about Mark Cuban. But I don't know if you saw the news there recently, Paul, where the Water Boys of all people. Do you remember when they did a stint over with Houston working on the space station? They got fired shortly after getting the job. Whenever the shuttle was trying to land, it came in too fast, too soon. They hit the whole of the moon, but they did a better job of it than Pink Floyd anyway. They couldn't even find this side of the moon. I don't know why NASA keeps hiring all these musicians to pilot their spaceships, but I can't even read my own handwriting. But no, yeah, I always find it odd that we named all the other planets after gods, like Mars, Jupiter, and then we named our planet like dirt. It's just called Earth. I don't know. That'd be a hard one to explain to all aliens. But I'll finish. I'll finish up on this, I think. But do you hear about the astronaut who was fired from the space station? He was fired from the space station for his drinking habit. He got kicked off the space station. And when he came back down to Earth, he decided to try his hand at something new, try to work out some of his anger as a writer by exclusively using typewriters. But same problem with the spaceship, Paul. He was just hitting the space bar too hard. That's the obligatory space bar joke.
Is that it? Because I'm that is some score. Hang on a sec. I'm just counting. You have to get in 12 there.
Was it scored on jokes?
Just however many punchlines I got there, but even I give you one there for Marion Moon. I thought that was that's brilliant.
That's one of those bad, useless facts that stuck in my head. Yeah.
No, that's the business. Well done, 12. Come here. Before we go, do you want to plug anything? I believe you have a podcast, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. The podcast is called Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast. It's a podcast about Irish history for myself. Do you know Jason Brennan? You might have met him before. He's another Irish comic, but he's living over in America the last while. Yeah. So the two of us have been doing this for the last.
As I say, you were on Brian and James's one, and I heard you. So that's you were on their podcast. So I must check out Shite Talk. That sounds deadly.
Yes. Yeah. It's grand, people seem to like it, and that's
deadly, and it'll keep you going till we get back gigging and you get to use Dublin's next top comic on your CV.
Which is, I'd say, just as I get back to, I'm sure there'll be Dublin's next top comic 2021.
Exactly. Yeah, you just put it down for 2 years. Why not? Well, listen, Kevin, thanks a million for coming on and getting that high score. You're going to scare everyone else off, but Kevin Larney, everybody.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks very much.
There's very few comedians that are as much the crack off stage as they are on stage. Everyone's a bit different, right? But some of them just step off stage and just don't change in any way. They're just wired and always up for the crack. And top of the list of all of them that I know of is our next guest. You're going to love her. Sinéad Walsh, everybody.
Sinéad Walsh, everybody.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you, Mashi?
I haven't seen you since the start of the year. You've been kept busy. You're doing the Sunday rollover, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I am. I had to do something to keep busy. The devil makes work for idle hands or something. So
Yeah.
so we started the Sunday rollover, and we done it for about 3 weeks, I think, and we've just taken a little break now till after Christmas,
Brilliant.
and back again in January and that kind of thing. So just yourself, like, I wanted to kind of create a space where comedians could bring new material, and also engage with the audience. So we keep a section of the audience muted and they laugh, and
Steady.
we either get, an ego boost or an ego kick and whatever,
Yeah, and you're trying out new material, which is the hardest part, because you write when you're in lockdown, but you don't know where it's any good or not, basically.
No,
So
not at all. Not at all. I nearly have a full notebook there, and I've just, ideas that I've just left to kind of like die almost, so not to be dramatic about it, but so yourself, you've no idea if they're shite or not, and you can
yeah.
bring them to an audience. So
And come here,
yeah.
I know a little bird tells me as well, because I'm trying to organize doing a podcast in 2021. You're working on one, aren't you?
Okay. I I thought you were going
Was
to
I
say
not
something else
supposed to
there. I
mention
thought, like, I was like, am I pregnant? No, no, yeah, I am. So, but me and a buddy of mine, Joshua Dowling, he is a funny man. He's not a comedian, so that was something that I didn't necessarily set out to do, like, not have a comedian involved, but like, I think he's been interested in trying stand up, so I'm kind of gently coercing him to do it. So he's a
Cool.
very creative guy,
Well,
Yeah, so
I've heard the key to a podcast is keep talking and have loads of energy, and I think you'll be grand on those levels anyway.
Chat the arse off anyone, I would.
So come here, I'll tell you one-liners. How you fixed?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You,
Like, honestly, Paul, I don't know how you do it, man. Honestly, you're the king of one-liners, and like I was just saying to my dad earlier, I was having. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're qualified in that. No, not at all. Speaking of dad jokes, I was talking to my dad earlier, and I was like, what you really realize when, say my style of comedy, which is more like storytelling and that kind of thing, because thank you, Cork. But yeah, so that for like I tell in a 5 minutes, let's say maybe 2-3 stories. You will tell 20 jokes. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see how it goes.
I love your style and I love your energy, and I'm just thinking it's actually coming on here on online as well, so that's good. So come here, I'm going to I have a list here. I have a list of
okay.
Where the hell are they? Oh yeah. So I've got a load of cards, and they're fairly vague, subjects. So I'm going to reach in here and no, but they're okay. The one I have, I don't know how this suits, but it's cars. Cars.
I don't even drive, but let's see how this goes.
I tell you what, I'm supposed to give you 2 minutes, right? But I'll give you at least 3, if not 4. You take your time and just write down as many. Okay.
Okay.
Can we do it?
Tell me when we're at 2 minutes, though. Just see how many.
Okay.
Right?
Will you work away and I'll come back to you? I'm going to do some seamless editing here. Okay, so we're back 3 to 4 minutes there. Did I give you enough time? Have you got enough?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Jesus, it was definitely tougher than I thought it was going to be, for sure.
Well, brilliant. Well, listen, let's see how many you got. Well, not how many, but
okay.
And Sinead Walsh on cars.
My new Edinburgh show, 2021. Okay, so my sister got this gorgeous new handbag recently, right? Real unusual, kind of shaped like a car pedal, And I asked her, what kind of handbag is that? And she said, a clutch.
Lovely.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. What do you call it when a Mexican throws a party at a Norwegian or in a Norwegian valley?
No idea.
A fjord fiesta.
Oh, love it.
Oh. So bad. It gets worse, to be honest. Okay. Did you know that race car is the same spelled backwards? But so is Emas et. It's kind of more of a written down funny, I think, than an laugh out loud funny. It's terrible. Put that in text across the bottom. Okay, so I met the love of my life, Jessica Chastain, in real life last year, right? And I said to her, do you know what, Jessica? You remind me of a Ferrari. And she said, why? Is it my red hair? And I said, no, because I'd pay thousands to be inside you. Shocking. Right. So my girlfriend and I were kissing like so passionately the other night that we fell through a fake wall in my room and into my secret stash of heroin. I suppose you could say our relationship has really shifted into gear. That was great there. Okay. So my brother snuck out to see his new girlfriend, Joy, the other night. When my mum asked me where he had gone, I told her he's gone joy riding. I hope he enjoyed it. Right, okay. I don't know if I'll do...
There's more.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you one more, okay? My friend isn't talking to me at the moment. She asked me to help her change a flat on her car. So I said, yeah, no bother. I'll grab your spare tire. Turns out she's actually pregnant.
Very good. Deadly.
I'm going to get in trouble for that one.
I got 7 there. Is that 7? I wrote down 7.
7?
Yeah,
I think so.
7.
Yeah.
7.
Okay.
Not bad at all, I tell you. Well done,
Not
deadly.
too bad. Jesus.
The Fjord Fiesta is just... I love that.
Is
That is a dad joke out and out.
If Marshy is telling you, if you were telling me that is a good joke, I'm going to keep it. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. I honestly can't believe you got 7 out of cars. Well done. I know I get you loads of time. It doesn't matter. It's a tough subject, but no, I was going to say, sorry, you're out.
Honestly, go on. Sorry, no, you go.
There's a delay. No, I was going to say you're out of your comfort zone. So well done. That was dead.
I literally, man, the first minute and a half of that was just a fucking brain scribble. Do you know what I mean? Like that was literally it. Looked like a child's copybook in school. But listen, it worked.
See what you've done there. What you've done there. I keep doing that. If I put up a joke and people start kind of doing tags, that's what I do as well. I write down all the subject, all the That's. We're all obviously we all think the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's like you have to get your mind out on it to see. Well, that's the kind of learner I am and that kind of thing. I need to see things, you know what I mean, words and stuff. So, but I saw earlier you put up a joke. What was this? Something about Frodo.
Oh yeah, no, it was a meme on dad jokes. That's brilliant.
And someone tagged. Go.
Oh no, go on, tell the tag. I know the tag.
Okay, sorry, I just can't remember the joke, but you said, or someone tagged back or commented back saying, as long as he doesn't make it a hobbit, and I was like, that is.
There was one the other day on trees, and I think there was 43 tags on it on the one joke. I love that. Love it. Yeah.
Incredible. Look at you, discussion creator.
Well, listen, thanks a million, Sinead, for doing that. You're back on the Sunday rollover and the new podcast in 2021. And hopefully I'll meet you for a gig soon.
Yes, a gig and a pint, hopefully.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Sinead Walsh, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me. Woo! Thank you, folks. Cheers.
Thanks so much to my 3 guests. We had Stephen Ryan Comedy on Instagram, and his podcast is called Health Binge. Kevin Larney's podcast is called Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast. You get Kevin on Instagram as Kevlar Comedy. And Sinead Walsh, she's back doing the Sunday rollover at the moment. You'll find her on Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to be doing a few more of these soon. If there's any comedians listening who fancy taking on the challenge of doing this, slip into my DMs, as you young people like to say. Thanks a million for watching this.